And so we'll move on to the first item on our agenda. Oh, I thought that was later. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, the first one. The first one is the location of the Eastern Recreation and Sports Centre, and that's, page 3 of the agenda. And we have, on the 28th of August, the Council delegated authority to make decision on this matter to the Committee of the Whole, and we have the report of the Burwood Pegasus Community Board in front of us as well, and I'd like to invite Andrea Cummings to speak to that. Oh, would someone like to, David East would like to move the recommendation of the report, and that, hang on, so it doesn't, yeah, sorry. That the staff, yeah, so would like to move the recommendation, and Glenn Livingston would like to second the recommendation, and now we'll hand over to Andrea.
Great, thank you very much, Leanne. Thank you for all coming out to our playground today. It's very nice to have you all here. It's been a long few years for the East, and the QE2 loss has been the one issue that has captured the community the most, both in united grief but also in hope for the future. We have seen a huge community engagement in this issue, with Facebook pages, petitions, all sorts of things. And we've had strong interest from the key community leaders to join the CAG. The CAG was comprised of people throughout the ward and who represented a large range of demographics and agendas. Yet the group created within themselves an amazing, robust process to determine the preferred location for the Eastern Rec and Sports Centre. It was amazing to watch the group come to terms with the duality of representing their own group, but also having to represent the East as a whole. And they did extend that beyond Burwood Pegasus. They did brilliantly. So I want to take this moment to thank the members of the CAG and all the staff for their amazing hard work. So thank you. Allowing the community to control the process allowed for great buy-in, and each meeting was filled with knowledgeable, thoughtful, careful debate. And so today I bring you the results of the 7+1 meetings. Excuse me. The 7 meetings involved firstly going through the criteria, which is page 4 of your report. We spent quite a bit of time defining and enhancing these criteria so that we knew we were getting a robust process. We also gave them weightings on how we perceived their importance in the local context. We then spent some time looking at site possibilities. I believe the staff had found over 100 possible sites that could have been chosen. So we managed to narrow that down quite significantly. We then measured those sites against the criteria that we had come up with. Until we finished, not one of us in the room knew which location would come up in the top. Until the very last minute, when all the data was entered and the button was pressed on the laptop and the answer popped up in the Excel spreadsheet. That shows how robust the system was that we created. There was no predetermined knowledge of the answer, of the outcome. The group are very happy with the outcome of the process, and were unanimous to recommend just one location in its recommendation today, QE2. The last half hour of the group's official time together was a quick brainstorm around the components the community wanted in the facility. But this was too rushed, and it didn't represent the real will of the group. So the CAG on their own decided to meet outside the framework of the official CAG structure, and spent a couple of fruitful hours refining the list. At the community board meeting on Monday, the board decided to accept the notes and key messages and documents created solely by the CAG. But so I take your attention to page 10. You can see that this list differs from the one that was in the report. The CAG would like to push that this be noted and received. It is a much better recognition of what the community wants. It defines things a lot better, and yeah, it's just was a more robust process to come to the answers that we were looking for. So hopefully you've got it in red. I think mine's in black and white, so I was going to go through it, but I can't tell now what's... well, I can't tell, so... Great. We also added an extra list, which was the private-public partnerships. There's some things there that we thought perhaps were extras, or perhaps that other philanthropists or organisations could come in and partner with. So we separated them out. So I will take you next to page 13. The key messages that the group provided. This is created by the group. This isn't a staff report, so this is the words directly from the group. So the group are really unanimous in wanting to use this process again. They found it very, very valuable and invaluable, and also note that some of our decisions were made on information that wasn't fully there yet. We did have to make information around co-locations and partnerships, for example, without knowing where the Avonside Boys and Shirley Boys and Avonside Girls schools. I've been waiting to get that wrong for a long time, and it finally happened. We didn't know where that was going to be, and that may influence decision making in the future. So the CAG has asked that should further information come to light, that the group be reconvened to go back through its process of significant geotechnical or school announcements or other things that we don't know yet may play a decision in the outcome. So
sorry, can I interrupt you, Andrea? So yes. You're actually saying that should further information come to light, which may influence that the community advisory group be reconvened in order to review the decision? Yes, okay. without being able to see in the future and know what's going on. Well, I think we need a specific resolution to do that, so we'll add that.
Well, we have that in 4.4 of the staff recommendation.
Well, that's to inform the scope of the facility. I don't think that. I mean, would you want to review? I mean, would you want to review the location as a group?
Yeah, if it impacts on the site that we've chosen.
Okay.
Yeah. We had quite a debate about that at the board meeting, and staff said that 4.4 fully included any variables that if we needed to reconvene.
But I think what I'm hearing you say is that if further information comes to light, that would lead you to want to consider the actual selection, the site selection, and run that process again, then you would want to be reconvened for that purpose, which is actually broader than this, I think. Yeah. So I think we need to instruct staff to re-engage to inform the scope of the facility. So that's inform the scope of the facility. And should any of the should any further information come to light? Yeah. And maybe we use the community board as the trigger, that the community board come to light, that any further significant information come to light that the community board considers might impact on the location,
or might impact on the
decision
that was made. Yep.
That the community advisory group be reconvened for that purpose.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So, for example, if QE2 comes back and geotechnically that it completely cannot be built on,
and that's
the group does not necessarily just want to directly go straight to the second.
No, that's right.
Site.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay. No, that's good. Are you, the mover and seconder, happy with that? Yep. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to clarify.
I was getting straight to that point anyway. That was my next point. So
okay.
Yeah, we've covered that now, and that was really all I had to say.
Well, thank you. And can I personally thank you and the community board. I know that the that the resolution itself thanks the Community Advisory Group for the work that they've done, but I know that you personally, as part of the advisory group, but also in your leadership role with the Community Board, you know, you've committed a lot of your personal attention and support to people to work through what is a challenging decision. So I think you should be pretty proud of what you've done, and I think the Community Board as a whole can take credit for a process that's been incredibly inclusive. So I really congratulate you for that. So
Thank you.
do we need staff up at the table are there any questions that people would like to ask? Yeah, so perhaps John. Is there anyone else? Does Simon? Paul?
One of you will need to bring a chair.
Okay, so questions. Jimmy?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Two questions. First question on page 5, the table 2. The Eastern Recreation Sports Center the option assessment. Regarding to the last sentence, the score, for instance, like QE2 Park, 66, Rahiti domains, 64. Even you have explained this kind of the criteria, 10 criteria, and the weighting system, but how to get this figure? I check for many times, I don't know how to get it. For instance, like a side risk, QE2 Park is 6 equal. So, but the side risk is 20%. So if 6 equal, how many score?
Yeah. Sure. Thank you, Councillor. What we've attempted to show you there in the table for intuitive reasons is just the relative rankings of how each option went. So if you take right at the top there, the criteria of site risk and QE2 Park compared to all the other options was 6th equal for that criteria, and moving along, Rawiti was 4th equal, and so on and so forth. So it's an attempt just to convey quite simply how they all compare to each other. There are some numbers that sit behind that when we did the assessment, and when you carry out the weightings, that's how you get to your final score of out of 100 at the bottom there.
Okay, thank you. Second question. Okay. On page 10, regarding to the community advisory group, the recommendation and have some amendment regarding to this table. Can you please explain to us what's the rationale, and also this kind of amendment, whether still within the budget, $30.5 million.
The advisory group were given no figures to work on. We were meant to, but procurement issues meant that we couldn't get the people that had the figures to the meeting, so we had to work blind. So these are just a really quick brainstorm, indicative, you know, of what we have no idea as a community advisory group of whether any or all of them are viable financially.
Thank you.
Councillor Chen, that's really the next stage of the project, refining the scope and putting cost elements to it, and now going back and working through the community advisory group. So council can expect to see that in the next iteration.
Thank you.
Raf and then Yanni.
Yeah, just a quick one following up on what Jimmy said about the weightings and how you've calculated this. I mean, when I looked at this, I immediately thought, well, Burwood Park looks to be the top choice given the importance of those first 3 items. And I'd be quite interested to see how you actually got to those numbers. I can't quite work it out myself either, but I mean, I think this has been a great process, but yeah, I think obviously that site risk for me is probably the most important issue, so I'd be interested to see a bit more detail on that.
Yeah, sure. The final assessments are carried out in accordance with the weightings of each criteria, and certainly those top 3 or 4 criteria had the highest weightings. So just because an option did particularly well on one weighting or an option did particularly poorly on another weighting doesn't mean to say it was unduly penalised. So the advantage of a weighting system is it takes account of all all the possible criteria and how they do. So it won't be skewed in any one particular direction. So there are some, as I say, some numbers that sit behind that. So the judgments that the group arrived at, so Burwood Park was first on site risk, QE2 Park was first on participation. Those are the judgments that they made based on the best possible information that we provided with them around demography, population, city, urban growth, council facilities, non-council facilities, social economic recovery, room to grow, those sorts of things. Yep. Hopefully that helps, and I'll hand it over to the feasibility for, I think, John, the second part of your question.
Raf, I'd like to comment on the site risk. I think it's fair to say that every single site on the list carries significant risk, and the difference between 1 and 6 equal in terms of the actual geotechnical properties of the land is probably small. The first thing the feasibility study will do is have a look at that in detail, and if there is a significant alteration, we'll get straight back to the group.
Yanni.
Thank you. First off, can I thank the Community Advisory Group? I know it won't have been an easy task, and I think you've done a really amazing job coming up with a location that makes a lot of sense. Just in terms of going forward, really a question of staff. Given that this is a metro facility and the fact that it's serving more than just one ward, have you thought about involving any of the other boards, possibly the Shirley Papanui or the Hagley Ferrymaid, given the scale of the facility and the impact that this possibly has on those people? And if you look at your second criteria, participation, and if you look at accessibility, participation, you talk about it being, wider than obviously just that local area.
The details haven't been completely ascertained at this stage. We'd like to get sign-off for the first stage. The short answer to your question is yes. We always do. Particularly the neighbouring wards. The precise nature of the stakeholders and how they're involved will be determined in time. But in answer to your question, absolutely, yeah.
If you look at 4.3, you're saying it reports back to the council with the feasibility study.
Yep.
And it goes to the Burwood Pegasus Community Board.
Yep.
Along with the scope, the cost, procurement, etc.
Yep.
I just wondered whether there was any opportunity either to add 1 or 2 representatives from the other wards that are affected, either onto the Community Advisory Group, or to have a report go back to the other wards that are affected in terms of the people that are likely to use that facility. It's quite explicit in here that at the moment they would be excluded.
The boards would be, the neighbouring boards would be involved, but this report has to follow a pathway, and that the pathway prescribed in here is through the Burwood Pegasus Community Board. The preferred site is in their ward, and if council wanted to make a change to that, that they're very welcome to do so. That's probably beyond my decision-making scope.
Okay. So, can I just ask maybe the chair of the community board around whether, in terms of that community advisory group, there was a chance to change it looking forward for the work that needs to be done now, to add additional members from those other wards?
I think there would be some logistical challenges in that we've met a number of times and got a fairly good. We did a lot of groundwork to get to where we've done, and adding new people may sort of change the dynamics of how that works. Also, the group did wear the mantle of a much bigger area than Burwood Pegasus. We did consider, particularly in those things that you mentioned, accessibility, participation, the transport routes and those sort of things. We did spend quite a bit of time looking at the impact of the other wards. So I don't think that you were disadvantaged in any way through the decision that we came to.
Right, I wasn't. Sorry, maybe I'm not being clear enough.
Okay.
I'm not criticising the group at all. I think they've done a really good job. I think it was really important that that ward decided within itself where the location would be best suited. But going forward, given that the scope of the facility is a metro facility and that it's serving more than just that local ward, I don't see what process there is for anyone else to be involved in that from the other community boards that are affected. Have you got a catchment map of where you expect, if it goes to QE2, people to come from?
I think this is probably a bit hard to put on the chair of the Burwood Pegasus Community Board. I think extending the community advisory group is not within the scope of what we're considering today, but I think that allowing for the Burwood Pegasus Community Board to have representatives from both Shirley Papanui and Hagley Ferrymead at the meeting, that they consider the report back to council, because it will have gone through the community advisory group by then, I think is perfectly acceptable, and I don't think that that would be a difficult thing to organise. I mean, you could have a special meeting of the Burwood Pegasus Community Board and invite representatives from the other two community boards to come.
I assume that can be done.
Initially, when the site selection process was first convened, it was a joint meeting between Burwood Pegasus and Hagley Ferrymead. Yeah. So the issue I have is 4.4 around the scope, that there seems to be no opportunity for, given the scope of the facility is metro, not local, because it's a bigger facility than just your local swimming pool, there seems to be no ability for anyone outside of the ward to feed into that process.
I don't think it's not metro in it that it's city-wide, but I understand that the catchment is going to be bigger than just Burwood Pegasus. So it's not like the Metro Sports facility, and that is definitely a facility that will be city-wide, and as QE2 was. But this isn't going to be the same as QE2. And the Metro Sports facility is the replacement for QE2. This is going to be a standalone facility in its own right, and it's going to be bigger than what perhaps would have been there if QE2 hadn't been located there in the first place. But it's not going to be the Metro Sports facility.
It's going to be more like a Pioneer or a Jelly Park, which is going to. But who knows? It's still got work to go through to what it's actually going to be. But it is an Eastern Aquatic facility. That's the one thing that's really clear. But yeah.
I think it's a bit difficult to put this on Andrea at the moment. I just think that if we report back to council by April 2015, as it says, through the Burwood Pegasus Community Board in conjunction with other boards as appropriate, then I just think that we can work out a process that makes it work without making it difficult. You know,
we're not trying to make it difficult.
So if we add in the words in conjunction with other community boards as appropriate, is that okay with the mover and seconder? Yep.
Thank you. I think that's good, just to acknowledge that this is a facility that will have a wider impact. So I appreciate that change.
Yep.
Thank you.
Glenn?
Can I just double check that, please? So that you're saying the primary decision making obviously remains, or considerations continue to be through the Burwood Pegasus Community Board?
Look, it's through the Burwood Pegasus Community Board in conjunction with other community boards as appropriate. So let us work out how we as a council resolve that and further discussion, but I really don't want to hold up the decision today, because there are a lot of people who are very keen for us to get on with the job.
And I wouldn't push it much further.
Yeah, Vicky.
Sorry, just in relation to the April 2015, I appreciate there's a great deal of work to do, but could that possibly come forward any... Yes.
This question was asked at the community board. The answer is we've done our homework, and in order to procure and deliver geotechnical services, we won't have a hope in doing it too much sooner. We'd create expectations that we'd have to let people down on.
Okay. But you will try.
Unless somebody has a geotechnical rig sitting in their backyard that they could lend us.
Yeah. All right. So I will put the motion. Oh, sorry. Yeah. We'll debate the motion. Sorry, David.
Just as mover, I wanted to.
Yes.
If someone else wants to debate, but.
Is anyone else going to? Yanni. Sorry.
I just want one clarification, especially around the reference to the possibility of a school site that you referred to before. I just wanted
What do you want to clarify?
No, I,
Yep.
I understood it was going to be part of the recommendations, and I just haven't seen it yet, unless it's is it included?
Has somebody written that down? And that should any further significant information come to light which the Community Board considers may impact on the location, then the CAG should be reconvened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Yanni, could you pick up the microphone? Because, I mean, sorry, but we have to.
Karaoke? Okay.
Or stay seated.
We could sing Happy Birthday to Glenn. It's a pretty good birthday present, isn't it? No, I just wanted to just place on record my thanks to the Burwood Pegasus Board and the Community Advisory Group for the work that they've done to determine a location. I know it hasn't been an easy process. I mean, it has taken longer than many people would have liked, but I do fundamentally think that this is a really good decision that has been based on a really good examination of the possibilities. And I think the really important thing now is that we do commit to a site, we do get something happening, we get the work done to make sure that we can get this facility open as soon as possible. Although it is located in the Burwood Pegasus ward, and I think it's really important that that ward and that community board and that community have taken a leadership role in determining where it should be located. I do want to just stress that this is an Eastern Aquatic and Facility and Recreation Centre that does service the eastern suburbs, and I know that it's not just the people in Burwood Pegasus that are happy about this proceeding. It's actually many people on the east who have missed their local facilities, don't have local facilities, or are looking forward to this facility being returned so that they can, instead of travelling all the way across the city, they can travel a little less further and go and enjoy some of the recreational benefits that these types of facilities provide. So I'm really excited about today. I think this is a really positive step forward for our city. It's great to see some work come to a conclusion in one sense in terms of the location, and exciting to see the next stage moving forward. So very supportive of these recommendations, and thank you for allowing the other boards to be involved where appropriate. I think that really sends a very good signal that this is more than just a local facility. It is an important facility for the east.
Thank you. I'm just reminding councillors that we have to conclude the meeting by 12:15, so if we've got meetings back in the office. So, Pauline.
David, can I just quickly commend you, Leanne, for supporting this type of community engagement. We've seen two models of it today in this ward, and I think it's just fantastic that we're actually adopting this model. We're empowering people and communities. This is an example right across Christchurch. We want to roll it out for everyone to have a voice and have that voice heard. And I just want to congratulate everyone involved today, and particularly you, Leanne. Thank you.
Thank you. Quickly, Glenn, are you going to... Yeah, no. I'm gonna let Dave wrap it up because this is
I realise that. Thanks.
Don't sing.
Look, just wish to say this has been I think a very good process. The minister, and this is what I was going to say before, over Eastern Vision in a press release used the phrase meaningful engagement, and I actually think we need to hold not only him but ourselves as a council to that in our engagement going forward. I think the process at the South New Brighton Community Centre the other day was very good over that. I think this has been very good as well. You see all the compelling reasons, but worked through with data to arrive at the recommendation that it would be at QE2 today. There's also this compelling reason. I went to a local government conference in Wellington, I think it was 2011. It talked about the legacy of events. The Games were a legacy not only for New Zealand and Christchurch, but for this community. Putting the facility here would build on that legacy. It's a very powerful thing to do. So I'm delighted we're doing this today. And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but I suspect I'm anticipating a unanimous decision. Thank you.
David.
Thank you, Glenn. Look, this has been a very long journey that started on the 22nd of February back in 2011 with the loss of QE2 and a huge loss to our community, which has really perpetuated itself in a generation, I believe, of kids that aren't getting learned to swim out the side of town. and a huge craving for a return of an aquatic facility. Look, I'm well on record as probably not favouring QE2 initially, but with the legacy project and other things, I've turned around. And look, I really would like to just wrap up this by saying, as a council, we engaged the community to make a decision. We had CAG, and I believe they've worked very thoroughly, frequently, and they've come to a decision. And I think as a community and certainly as a council, we need to respect that process. I certainly do. And so I'm urging my fellow councillors to support the recommendation we have before us. And let's get on with this project. It's been a long time coming. And as I said earlier, we have this void of aquatic facilities in the eastern suburbs. It's really something that's had a huge impact on our community. And I like to see the process actually get into gear and get going. So let's make a vote now and begin the process.
Excellent. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Carried unanimously. Oh. Thank you very much.